Hello, my name is Mark Holden. I'm 25 years of age, and this is for the Love of Lewisham's 2014 manifesto for helping to curb Lewisham's growing issues surrounding the supply of social housing. I am a proud local resident of the London Borough of Lewisham and was born and raised in South East London, where I went on to study at the local University of Greenwich, graduating with a degree in sociology. I currently live in Ladywell and work as a teacher at the nearby Ladywell Fields College, and by night I carry out my duties as an independent councillor representing my local parish, and have done so since my election in 2012. Over the past few years serving as a local politician, I have become aware that my constituents are growing increasingly concerned with issues surrounding the provision of affordable housing within the borough, and even Greater London. With the waiting list for social housing in London ever increasing, and the supply of public and privately owned social housing stock ever diminishing, it is clear that something needs to be done to curb this vicious cycle. Yet despite this, empty homes still remain a big problem in Lewisham, one of the capital's remaining relatively affordable boroughs. Currently within Lewisham, there are over 118,600 homes, 2,253 of which are vacant. Over 150 are currently owned by the local authority, Lewisham Council. Nearly 200 are owned by a specific housing association, and over 1,800 are privately owned. 742 homes out of a total 2,253 have been declared long-term empty. This means that almost 2% of homes within Lewisham are vacant. Although these statistics may be quite damning, they do reveal there is a genuine starting point for us to help tackle the borough's deep-rooted housing issues and set a sustainable precedent for the rest of the capital. Recently I, along with several other members of the Lewisham community, have outlined plans to initiate a charity which will be named For the Love of Lewisham. Our main aim is to slash the growing waiting list for social housing in Lewisham by recycling empty homes that are existing already, whilst working directly with Lewisham Council and the Homes and Communities Agency, the non-departmental public body that funds affordable housing in England, to begin to refurbish and reintegrate as many of the 2,000 plus empty homes situated in the borough as possible. We have also received backing from the Office for the Mayor of London. For the Love of Lewisham will be formed firstly as a building preservation trust to rescue the Play Tower, a derelict, Grade 2 listed, council-owned 19th century former swimming baths in Lewisham's Ladywell ward. We have had lengthy discussions with Lewisham Council surrounding the future of the Play Tower, who have subsequently agreed to hand over the building to us for nothing, on the agreement that we firstly form as a charitable building preservation trust, in order to ensure the future of the much respected but sadly neglected heritage building. Lewisham Council have also said they will partly subsidise the fees of the local architect we have already begun to engage with. Our architect will produce drawings for us that will help secure funding bids for the restoration of the Play Tower. As a building preservation trust, we will be eligible to apply for grants from the Heritage Lottery Fund, the European Regional Development Fund, and the Architectural Heritage Fund, in order to restore the disused building to a usable state, which will provide social amenities and residential services to the people of Lewisham. The Play Tower has also been outlined as part of English Heritage's Heritage at Risk countrywide programme, which aims to bring back into use redundant historic buildings of merit. This means English Heritage will cooperate fully with any proposals for listed building concern. Our powers as a building preservation trust will also allow us to create opportunities for additional social housing from derelict heritage buildings we are made aware of that possess the capability of conversion into affordable dwellings. The Play Tower will encompass the headquarters of the charity and will provide an array of services to the people of Lewisham and those on the waiting list for social housing. These will include an administrative services department, which will work directly with Lewisham Council and the Housing and Communities Agency to determine the feasibility and to oversee the delivery of refurbished unoccupied housing stock in the borough. This department will also be responsible for preparing capital bids. There will also be a task force dedicated to monitoring an up-to-date register of abandoned housing stock in Lewisham. Furthermore, we would also like a community element to remain within the building, so we do hope to include rooms which locals can hire out and use when need be. Situated within the building will also be crisis accommodation services, which will help families who have been evicted from their homes to find alternative, temporary provision within Lewisham. Also at our headquarters, but independent from us, will be the Lewisham Self-Build Learning and Information Centre, which will be led by the Siegel Self-Build Trust, providing a first-hand insight into self-build initiatives within Lewisham. The participatory nature of the programme will allow people to engage in short tutorials on self-build and the process to help potential self-builders make an informed decision on whether or not they would like to be involved with any local authority schemes, such as the one proposed at Church Grove. Bringing empty homes back into use at the moment is also a priority for the coalition government. As part of the comprehensive spending review in October 2010, the government announced a £100 million fund to bring more empty homes back into use. The government followed this up by publishing its housing strategy in November 2011, of which an important part of its strategy for tackling empty properties. The strategy included details of the £100 million capital funding from within the 2011 to 15 Affordable Homes programme that had been set aside to tackle long-term empty properties which would not come back into use without additional financial intervention. It is intended that this funding will deliver at least 3,300 affordable homes by March 2015. £70 million of this funding has been assigned to the HCA to deliver a programme to bring empty properties back into use as affordable housing. The remaining £30 million has been made available to community and voluntary groups via a separate funding programme via tribal education on behalf of the Department for Communities and Local Government. In March 2012, the HCA announced allocations which could deliver 5,600 new affordable homes. In November 2012, Communities Minister Don Foster announced a further round of funding aimed at bringing empty properties back into use, as well as tackling empty homes. This additional bidding round has had an emphasis on the refurbishment of empty commercial and non-residential properties as affordable housing. In June 2013, allocations of just under 41 million were announced, which could deliver up to 2,000 new affordable homes. So as you can see, the government are quite willing to provide direct funding to charities and other not-for-profit organisations to help curb the issue of vacant homes in the UK. Given the fact that many of the empty homes within the borough are privately owned, For the Love of Lewisham will also work within the private sector, alongside the council, to help provide incentives to assist reintegration of neglected homes in the borough. With owners who are not willing to cooperate, we will be able to advise the council to use compulsory purchase orders to seize vacant properties from negligent owners, after setting a plan of new ownership for the dwelling or alternative solution. By summer 2015, we are hoping for the Love of Lewisham will be up and running as a charity in the newly refurbished play tower, and we are very much keen to get the ball rolling immediately in order to be able to make capital funding bids to Housing and Communities Agency and other organisations following the end of the 2015 general election. This period will see fresh strategies outlined by the new government and further pots of money made available to help recommission Lewisham, London and the rest of the UK's empty houses. We have already begun the process of preparing bids for grants to the Heritage Lottery Fund and several other bodies to gain funding for the refurbishment of the play tower, which will be complemented with a set of architects' drawings that respect the existing fabric of the 19th century Grade 2 listed building. For the Love of Lewisham is the local charity that begins at home, meaning providing someone with a roof over their head is always our first port of call. The recycling of buildings lies at the heart of everything we do, and where there is an opportunity to provide low-cost housing from what is unwanted or neglected, we will aim to do so. Our manifesto is bold and sometimes speculative, but is born only out of our love of Lewisham. Thank you for your time, and goodbye.